I spend a lot of time working with people creating ritual. And I don't believe personally that ritual and ceremony, even though it originated in Aboriginal people, that it should remain there. I feel strongly I've been instructed by Ancestor to give people permission to create ritual in a manner that works for them. Every person is on this path to self-actualization. So I work with a lot of artists, creative people tend to find me, and it's in there, and their art takes off, because when they create the value through ceremony of their gifts, it becomes alive. When I come together with somebody to do healing work, it's really making sure that we are in this loop of exchanging energy, or the flow is established. And then listening. The biggest part of healing is to be heard. Some people have a deep desire, a deep need to be heard. And I would say probably 70% of the healing is just my being a listener and holding their story. A healer cannot heal unless they keep processing their own work. Holding and denying the shadow will actually create illness in the person if they do that, they live their life that way. And I think our culture it feels scary. Our society feels really frightening to people, the events and things that are happening. Seeing people sort of come to their wits' end, sort of their last hold, and acting out in ways that are harming other people or harming themselves. So suppressing their shadow is really detrimental, not just to yourself, but to everyone around you. And that's what we see in the condition of our society right now, is that repression of the shadow, people wanting to reject it or say that it's not there, and continue with behavior that reinforces sort of like this tamping down of people's hearts and joy. And the shadow is another aspect of us that is just as wonderful as light and dark. Light and dark, one can't exist without the other. So it's in balance. It's like having a balance and having that shadow work inform me, of where I need to grow, of things that are, I may be holding a projection or a judgment that I need to look at. And it's very important within Native culture that you attend to what's re-stimulated within you before you go speak that reactionary judgment or projection out loud to the other person. I'm really excited about the future because I believe that there is a giant awakening that's taking place, and people are painfully coming out of denial and dealing with their grief. And it's like the beauty of it is that the transformation that happens as they experience their grief and this appearance of this new self, okay, is really, I believe, going to make all of the adjustment much easier. The adjustment to climate change, the adjustment to structure, to reference of power and that symbol of money. All of that change is going to be sort of like an unfolding, because people, when you go through a transition and you walk through your grief, on the other side of that is an opening for joy. It's like you've created an open space for re-experiencing life with more joy and love. And that is happening. I mean, the next 20 years, it's going to be phenomenal. And it's left in the hands of the young, guided by us, the elders, us, so that they can make this new experience of the world and of our culture and society and regard for each other and honoring, you know. And yeah, the rituals and ceremonies should come back, you know. They don't belong to just indigenous people. It was never intended that it remain. It's to benefit all of our relations. And the healing from within that begins when we stand and accept this moment of where we are, and we're really, as Ram Dass says, be here now. And we see the changes, and we feel our fear, and we feel the helplessness. And then through that grieving, then there becomes options. So it's a healing of each individual, and then the community, and then the broader community, and it keeps expanding outward. I really believe that that is what's taking place right now. This is a very energetic time.
It invokes in me my own heart. Ever since I was born, I've loved dancing. Going back to my Puerto Rico roots and Indian roots, Spain roots, right? And so we've grown up, you know, dancing with family, friends. You know. In addition to growing up sort of a Latin Pentecostal, and then going into my own spirituality from religion, and then coming into the shamanic learning. Transformational movement through like 5 rhythms, ecstatic dance, and so forth, right? Especially with 5 rhythms, because they really go into the heart of what is that you're feeling, that you're working with, and how can you move that, right, through your body. And by the way, while you're moving, you know, can you just really love yourself and through your movement, and allow it to transform. Kind of bringing in like the cerebral and then the spiritual and the emotional all together, and the physical. And so somehow, through my shaman teachers and with my dance teachers, we just bring all that together. So through doing my own personal work through dance, from dancing in clubs since I was 15, very consciously, intentionally, right, and then bringing the heart with it and bringing the emotional with it. And by the way, we bring in spirit, right? We'll bring in the spirits of the 7 directions, my shamanic teachings, which will create the space so that the space is held so people can feel safe. I think that's about it. It's just, through my own personal transformation and through movement, and where I can come here and then create a space for other people to do their own personal transformation work through movement and intensive studying and just like letting go of whatever's no longer serving them, and then, as you saw, the integration meditation to like bring in, my shamanic teacher called that soul retrieval. So we discard whatever we don't need, and then bring in the true and beautiful qualities, right, of whatever intention we're coming up with.
my relationship started about 50 years ago. Family fire, we did a lot of camping. Okanagan Barger Fair was pretty big. They did like fire performance. But my deepest connection with the fireplace is through Native American church and feeling that connection with spirit through the fire. So when I build a stack, I'm sending a lot of energy and I'm praying, if you will. I'm wishing for things and I'm allowing everyone to wish for what they want and giving a lot of energy to the world in that way and to the DJs, and it's such an honor to share that general relationship that I learned from honoring these traditions over the years, and it's a real pleasure.
Part of my mission as being in this community and connection in this community is to create connection. Like, that's what it is, because that's how we all move and shape and learn, and that's what our purpose is, right? Is to be in connection with each other. And so it's learning about how we can like bridge those gaps and be mirrors. Ritual of creating union in our movement, our vibration. Like, that's what creates life in us. That's what like generates us, is to have connection and reflect and see each other and ourselves who we are. So we dance and we create music together, and it drives us. It's a focus and a consuming way to live in the world that's like all. It's generative, like it encourages us to be creative and generative. So that means we make more about, we make ourselves more than like just what we think we may be or who we are. Religion brings ritual to us, and a lot of us who have been religious in our past have this way to connect, and that's what it creates. Is how do we get there? You know, to be like ultimately ever reaching out.
I think everybody wants to find their tribe. They want to find a place in the world for themselves. And for me, just speaking for myself, I spent probably my first 30 years of life really trying to find a group of people who kind of share my common interests. I mean, I definitely had some friends in high school and college that were into music. I was a college DJ, and we had some similar interests. You know, we went to sing dance together, that kind of thing. But I never really felt like a true connection where I felt like I was part of a tribe, or felt like I could contribute something and feel important about that contribution. You're playing music that makes people happy. You're connecting with people that are happy, talking about the music, passionate about projects. And that got me inspired to pick up DJ decks myself, start getting records, and felt like what I've been doing for the past 30 years, being a fan of records and the radio, this is what was my niche. This is what filled, I think, I don't know, a void is the answer, but I felt like I was rooted here. I could put my roots here. from an artistic standpoint, from a community standpoint. I mean, dancers inspire DJs, DJs inspire dancers, and it is a commonality. You can't have one without the other. And there's people who have great conceptual ideas for parties. You bring in the little inner, like 16-year-old out, where you talk about, having a party in the park. You have outdoor festivals. You have patio parties. You have all these things that on paper seem like party, but it really is about bringing people together. There's people out there that are feeling very lonely, and then when they feel lonely, they feel they have a different perception of the world. And when people find a sense of community and like-mindedness, and you have a community that sees those people out there who are looking for a place, maybe they're new to town, maybe they just have, maybe you read about them on Facebook about how they feel like they're not getting anywhere artistically, they're not getting booked or whatever. There's people out there that will talk to them, that will give them some skills, some resources to maybe feel more encouraged and to get better at what they do, because it's a very talented pool of DJs that we have here. And so it's very important for me to have this community where I can be myself and I can talk about hopes and fears and not feel afraid about it, not feel ashamed about it. The age I'm at, I'm in my early 40s. Something happens when you get to that age, and I'm talking to people that age about it. You really are that much closer to facing your mortality than not, and so things become more important very quickly. And things have been important, but now they're even more precious to me. Time and with friends, and time playing music and dancing and celebrating and being around people that I care about. I'm more present than I think I ever have been. And I value every moment now, and it's not just Pollyanna talking, it's like actual, like I'm just naturally feeling that way. And I'm so thankful that I found this community. The sky's the limit in terms of like how to have a valuable life of celebrating music and life, and that's how it translates.
Life is all about death and the rebirth of time, and carrying ritual on through the process of being humans and interacting together is really important to find how to keep the sacred light alive. And through the interaction of people and vibrations, we find what frequencies work for some of us, and that's why we're all grown together as a community, because we do flow on that frequency, and that is a ritual within itself. But finding ritual in life and honoring respect, blessings is highly important to keep the light alive and healing the universe and ourselves. It's very profound. I think there's ritual in everybody's life and finding their community and how each one interacts. But with ritual in dance and with dance, the movement of light, the body we've been given to flow out and exchange energy to work as molecules with others in that same fashion heals the planet, because our vibration creates more movement, and that more movement creates more light. And so ritual with dance and music, without me, I would not be a happy person. Like, that's my savior. Each week that I come out, it is to share my soul and to heal my body, like to decompress, to give back to the earth, shake it out. Movement, liberate. It's liberating. tribal aspect has been passed down for generations. Our feet are the heartbeat of the earth. As we move on the earth, that is the heartbeat. The more we can dance and transcend, the more we're healing that vibration, sending a frequency back into the ground, back into the atmosphere that it knows how to move with. If we keep using prefabricated things that aren't natural as in our own human experience, then we're losing that tribal aspect. Dancing is very tribal, giving back and going to the earth, going to the beats, the frequency. Transformative quality is that it's beyond. It travels beyond these walls. As we move together, the vibration goes out and healing to the planet. It travels in light forces and frequencies beyond these walls. So constantly we're an evolution that's healing in its own way.
I've said for a long time now that the dance floor saved my life, and I mean that in a physical, mental, and spiritual sense. Being able to overcome my limitations through dance really changed everything for me. The people that I was able to connect with really changed who I am. I am expressing the truest nature of myself and being able to let go of a lot of physical pain and a lot of mental pain, and being able to use dance and music as a ritual, as a means to heal continuously. It's a transformative experience. It's such a powerful tool for growth and to connect with people directly, physically, and experience something that we don't get a lot of in today's world, cell phones and internets and all of that business, and being able to connect with people directly, physically, I think is something that is it's important. I feel love and I feel loved, and to me there is no higher feeling, there is no higher sense than that, to be able to be drowning in love, in the love of my friends and my family, because this is my family. I have a blood family, but this is my chosen family, and the love that I feel from them and am able to express to them gives me purpose.
What drew me to the underground dance music community was the sense of community that I experienced there, that I hadn't experienced anywhere else, especially in more mainstream settings. I'm originally from Nicaragua. I was born in a little Caribbean town called Bluefields, and I was 12 when my family moved to the U.S. We moved to New Orleans. And naturally, I think I started to gravitate towards people that were different, skaters and musicians, artists. The moment I arrived in San Francisco, I knew, I was like, oh wow, I could just feel it. This is where I want to be. They were all intentional events. You know, there were parties, yes, but there was more to it. The events were designed to build community. The sense of community that I had found in the punk rock scene was similar, but in the punk rock scene it was very rebellious, anarchy and rejecting the system in that way, and kind of with a little bit of aggression, you know. So that part of it I never resonated with because I'm a very calm, very mellow person. And when I discovered the underground dance parties in San Francisco, the sense of community was there, but the anger and rebellion had been replaced by something more spiritually rewarding, something that I think was a different way of rejecting the system and the things that we didn't like about the mainstream was instead of rebelling against it and saying anarchy, we chose the higher path. Part of it was the realization that yes, an alternate way of being, an alternate way of socializing was possible. Not only was it possible, it was already happening. House music's motto since the beginning was inclusion and non-judgment. Come as you are, basically, and if what mattered wasn't ethnicity or sexuality or where you're from or none of those things, material things weren't what mattered. What mattered was you're there to enjoy the music and share that with other people that are doing the same thing.
So excited about young people because I see them in awareness. I mean, they're awake. They're awake, and their hearts are open, and they're ready. They're ready to go. It's like yeah, let's do this thing. So I don't know that I'll live to see that, all of that, but I know from ancestor and from communities of people that I'm in, that people are waking up. Oh my gosh, they're waking up just like a whole field blooming at once. That's what it feels like in my heart, And they're gonna make this life, this earth. I mean, she's demanding that we pay attention, and thankfully we are. Change is a guarantee. And we've never been up against so much change.